I feel weird being outside. Hey guys, so as of yesterday, I hit 2,000 subscribers, which is so exciting. So thank you for everyone who has subscribed to this channel and supported it. I just absolutely heart you guys. So I thought that it would be the perfect time to do my first Q&A video. I've actually wanted to do this video for a while, but I was worried about two things. Number one, I was worried that I wouldn't get any questions. And then secondarily, which is really my main concern, I was worried about saying people's names because I am just absolutely horrible at saying names right, and especially like Instagram ones where it's not like a normal name, or it's more of a username, or it's two names into one, but you don't know where the first one ends and the second one begins. And yeah, so I was just so horrified that I would just offend people the entire video. So that was one of the reasons why I didn't do it. So I apologize in advance if I offend anyone, but I'm gonna give it my best shot. I also thought it would be fun to film outside today. I've never done that before, and I've been seeing a lot of YouTubers film outside since the weather is nice today. It's supposed to be like close to 80. So is that a B? If that's a B, I'm going inside. I am a little bit self-conscious that like all of my neighbors are listening to me though. I don't know how people film outside and not worry about whether or not people are like sitting on their porches with a cup of tea, like listening to you film. So hopefully that's not happening. It's kind of a weird time of day, so hopefully everybody's like doing something. You guys kind of gave some juicy questions. A lot of these questions are kind of like deeper questions, which I love, but they definitely are not like yes or no answers. So yeah, I guess I'll just jump in. Joanna Delgado, am I saying that right, on Instagram asks, how do you always have such a lovely personality even when you're sick? So I'm going to turn that into kind of how do I stay positive. I think a few other people asked that as well, just like how do you stay positive. First I'm going to say that I don't. I think that when I flip the camera on or when I post something on Instagram, those are obviously the like more happier moments, but I definitely have my days where I am having a pity party and I kind of mope around, and I don't know, I just feel a little bit more negative. But I would say that I feel like those days are more few and far between. I think one of the big reasons why I do that is because I grew up and my mom was really sick, and she had it like way worse than me. She had lupus and she had a lot of complications from it, and I felt like it just really like controlled her life, which I totally don't blame her because she was just super sick and in the hospital all the time. But when I got diagnosed with lupus, I just kind of like made a mental decision to just try to be as positive as I could. And then later I got diagnosed with PCOS and low thyroid and rheumatoid arthritis. And I think that with every like diagnosis that I've had, I've just really made the choice to stay positive. I really think that it's a choice. You can choose to kind of let your struggles in life define you. I think that everybody has their struggles. And you can choose to let them define you, or you can choose to look at the positive and not let those struggles kind of shape your life, just not let them define you. And so I feel like I just make the conscious effort to stay positive, look at the positive, don't wallow in the negative, and I want to be happy in life, and nobody can do that for me. You are the master of your own happiness, and so yeah, I just kind of make the choice to be positive and to stay happy, and yeah. Queen Lily 143 asks, what's my favorite movie and why? And I don't think that I can choose just like one favorite movie, but I can choose my top 5 favorite movies. And I feel like these top 5 favorite movies, like my favorite movie just kind of bounces in those 5. The first one would be While You Were Sleeping with Sandra Bullock. That has been one of my favorite movies since I was like 10 or something. I just absolutely love that movie. My best friend's wedding with Julia Roberts and, oh, what's her name? Cameron Diaz. And it's just like a feel-good movie. I love Julia Roberts in that movie. She has so many funny like little moments in it, and I just think it's absolutely hilarious. Mr. Destiny, I don't remember the guy, his name that's in it, but it's just a really cool movie about how this guy basically made a mistake when he was a kid. He was playing baseball and they were about to win and he cost them the game, and he goes his whole life feeling like if he didn't miss the ball, if he had hit the ball and hit the home run and everything, that his whole life would have been different. So this guy comes along, like this angel guy comes along and shows him what his life would have been like if he had hit the ball. The kid with Bruce Willis, yeah, I'm pretty sure there's bees out here. I think it came out in like early 2000s, and it's one of my favorite movies by him. It's about how he, I don't know, had a lot of insecurities as a kid, and then his child self comes to like current day, and so he has to like deal with his child self. He grew up to be kind of like a hardball, like no frills kind of guy, and his childhood self kind of teaches him how to enjoy life a little bit more and to not be so serious. And the kid that plays him, so Bruce Willis is like totally like kind of good looking and like buff and stuff, and his childhood self is like totally like chubby, and he has a stutter and he eats candy all the time. And so when he first comes into his life, like Bruce Willis just cannot stand him, and it's the kid that plays him is so funny. And then I would say Saving Mr. Banks. I totally didn't expect to like that movie as much as I did, but I absolutely loved it. It's with Tom Hanks. It came out not too long ago, and I just like the message behind it. I like that it talks about Mary Poppins and kind of like the beginnings of Mary Poppins and the lady that wrote Mary Poppins. So my sister-in-law, Jen Gallagher, asked, who's your favorite sister-in-law? Winky face. I can't answer that, but I think she knows the answer. How do you guys feel your relationship has strengthened through infertility, and do you have any suggestions for other couples going through something similar? Our relationship has definitely grown through infertility, but I would kind of like bundle it with all of our struggles. I feel like through our marriage, it definitely wasn't like cookie cutter, easy beginning. We got married super young. I was 18, he was 19. I immediately started having a lot of health issues, and then the fertility stuff on top of it. And I would say like everything as a whole has definitely brought us together because it's really helped us to cling together. I think that one of the things that we got told a lot when we were getting married so young was that we were going to grow apart. And that was definitely a concern that I had, because when I was 18, I had no idea who I was. And looking back at myself then and where I am now at 27, I really am just like a completely different person. And I do see how easy it would have been to grow apart, but I think that our struggles have really been like the glue that's kind of kept us together in a really weird way, because we were both going through them together, and we could both like confide in each other, because like sometimes it's hard to talk to a friend because they don't really know what you're going through. But with us, like we both knew what we were going through, and so we could really like be best friends and really be there for each other and lean on each other and talk to each other. And it really just helped us to like cling to each other, and we really needed each other. We both understood each other and we both uplifted each other. So yeah, I think that all of our struggles have really just formed a really strong bond, and it's helped us to continue to grow our relationship. And advice that I would have for other people going through it is to, I don't know, it's really easy to let it consume you and to drive a wedge in your marriage, and you want it to do the opposite. Like, I am a huge believer in when you have a trial set in front of you, you have the option to turn it into a negative, or you have the option to turn it into a positive. And so I think with infertility, it can very easily drive a wedge in your marriage, and it can turn into a negative, and it can drive you apart. But I think that if you are just conscious to make sure that you are doing what you can do to turn it into a positive, it's a hard process, and it's so consuming, and you have lots of like emotional roller coasters. To continue to work on your marriage in other areas, and to not just be so consumed with fertility, but make sure that you're really attending to the other parts of marriage. I talk with my hands a lot, I'm like now realizing. Nicole Lee 47 on Instagram, these are all Instagram comments, says, where do you shop for clothes? You always have the cutest clothes without being a size 0. Thank you. I get a lot of questions like on videos like, whoa, where'd you get that top? And I always feel so stupid when my answer is always Target. Target is definitely like the #1 place that I shop. So definitely Target is #1. A lot of the times when you see me in something, it's probably from Target. What I'm wearing today is from Target. It used to be Kohl's was like my second place, but lately it's been Old Navy. So Target, Old Navy, and then Kohl's. And yeah, those are pretty much the only 3 places that I shop. So McKenna's mama, hopefully I'm saying that right, she asked a few questions, so I'm going to try to hurry up and get down these. She said, where did you meet your husband? What made you fall in love with him? I actually met him when I was 12 and he was 14, and we met each other at church, and it wasn't until years later that I kind of like looked him up. And the reason for that was because at the age of Ariana's texting me. At the age of 14, he had like a job. He was helping to support his family. He was a great older brother. He was so kind and compassionate. He had a strong testimony in the gospel. And during that year that we knew each other when I was 12 and he was 14, hopefully I don't get stung by a bee on video for the first time. Today's a lot of firsts, so that would probably happen. Anywho, so we got to know each other like in that year, but I was really mean to him because he had a big crush on me and I just thought it was like so annoying. A couple of years later, I was kind of thinking about him and I realized that he was just so unique, and that there's not a lot of 14-year-old boys that like have a job and help support their family and were so kind and compassionate, and that I probably should have just like taken the opportunity to really get to know him better, and that he was a good catch. Those characteristics were really what made me look for him a couple of years later, and definitely what made me fall in love with him, because then when I met back up with him when I was 17 and he was 19, he still had those characteristics and then many more, and yeah, that's definitely what made me fall in love with him. How did you come up with your dogs' names? They're so cute. Thumbelina was one of my favorite movies growing up, and when we got her, she was so tiny. She fit inside Joe's shirt pocket, and so I just named her Thumbelina because she was so tiny. Joe kind of always hated the name, and so when we got Moxie, he named Moxie after his favorite soda. There's a soda called Moxie. It is so gross. It's from like upstate New York. He grew up in upstate New York, and so it's kind of like that East Coast type of soda. And yeah, it tastes like cough syrup mixed with something gross. It's so gross, but it's his favorite soda, and so he named her Moxie. We didn't know that Moxie meant like swagger and like confident and stuff, and so later on we looked at what Moxie meant, and that definitely describes Moxie to the T. So that's how we came up with Moxie. Feather, when we first got her, her fur was like very feathery, and so we just named her Feather like that night, and now it fits perfectly because she's actually our biggest dog, but she's our lightest dog because she's just like light as a feather. So yeah, that's how we came up with their names. She also asks, do you have any baby names picked out for when you have kids? We have Noella picked out for when we have a girl. I used to say that we would only name her that if she was like born in December, but I think I might name her that anyway, and we would call her Ella, or Elle for short. And then we also want to name our son Liam. How many kids do you want? Would you adopt? If so, from the States or foreign? My landscaper here. I used to say 4 kids, and then I kind of settled on 3, and then now I'm like, if we could at least just have 2, I would be okay with that. But our original number was 4. We wanted 2 boys and 2 girls. I think 3 would be kind of like our happy spot. I would want 2 boys and 1 girl, and I'd want the girl to be in the middle. I have it all figured out. And then if we have 2, I would at least want a boy and a girl, but I don't know. It would at the same time be nice to have like 2 boys, that way at least they have a brother, or 2 girls, that way at least they have a sister. We have been talking about adoption a lot lately. It's something that's definitely in our hearts and has always been on the table. And over the past month, we've really been talking about it a lot more, and that is a video that I'll make in the future, coming up soon. If we do adopt, we would do it from the States. We would basically make a profile, and then we would wait for a birth mother to choose us. So somebody who is pregnant and just realizes that they're not in the place to care for a baby, which I think is so just absolutely heroic, because nowadays people can have abortions, and a lot of people do. And I think that that mother, whether it's a teenager in high school or somebody later in life who gets pregnant, who doesn't just say, oh, I'll get an abortion, but who is courageous enough to carry that baby for 9 months and find a loving home for it. I think it's just the most selfless thing. I think it's so courageous, and I just think it's the most beautiful thing, and that's definitely what we would do. So we would make a profile and then wait for a birth mother to choose us.